Okay, so let's look at this most important concept, which I want everybody to understand this completely, and make sure that you understand the gist of this thing. So let's look at this table. We've got this table. GRV stands for gross realization value, which is basically a sum total of all the total sales of what the end value of what you're going to sell it for. This includes any GST or any other taxes that may be included in the end sale value. So this is what the client would pay for the townhouse or the apartment or anything that you've developed, which is the end value. So gross realization value is the end sale value. So think of it that way. Now, we've got gross realization value, and let's say these are our ballpark development costs that we need to incur in order to do this development. TDC is our total development costs, and this is where our profit is, and that's where our development margin is, and how it's actually going down and eventually goes into negative. Now, what does that happen? So what I'm trying to explain to you in this example is this. Your GRV, which is the end value of anything, if you've studied economics, the end value or the market value is determined by the forces of demand and supply. So that's already set. It's not that you set those prices. It's already set in the market. So let's say you're developing in a suburb, and that suburb has I don't know, 3-bedroom townhouse that sells for $500,000, and so that's already set in the sense that no matter where you are developing all of this in that area, it is actually going to a 3-bedroom townhouse. The market value of a 3-bedroom townhouse is $500,000. So because you can't control this, so it's not that if you make your townhouses a lot larger or a lot smaller or whatever. This is the end value that's determined. Now, it doesn't matter where you're actually going to build that thing. If you're in that one city, the cost of construction is going to be the same for that. The cost of consultants, that's going to average out, and the council contributions or any kind of taxes or GST that you pay, or the marketing costs that you pay to the agents, or any kind of miscellaneous costs, all these costs are actually going to stay constant. The only thing that you have control over is what you're going to pay for the land. So if you just focus on what the land prices are over here. So let's say if the land was 120,000 and you spend all this and then you sold it for $500,000, you make a profit of 67,700, or 15.66% development margin on the cost. That's what you make for. But let's say everything stays constant and you end up paying $10,000 more for the land for that unit. Your development margin is going to start falling by 2.72. Then again, it'll start going down by 2.59. So that's going up $10,000. So every time we're moving up, we're paying $10,000 more for the land value. But as we start doing that, we'll see that there's going to be a fall in our profit by 2.59%, 2.49%. And this is this red shading is basically telling you that it's like a cumulative loss. So if instead of paying 120, you end up paying 170 for that, you made a loss of 12.42%, which is like a cumulative loss calculated. Because every time that goes up, a $10,000 increase in land value that you end up paying for land is going to cause an average reduction of 2.33% on your profit. Now we look at the same example from a different perspective. So let's look at it this way. Every time you end up paying $10,000 more, we know that it averaged out about 2.23%, or I think it was 2.33% in our example previously. But for you to be able to maintain or sustain the same amount of profit or the same percentage of profit, so 15.66 15.66, 15.65. So what I'm trying to do is I've actually locked in my development margin, saying that no matter what happens, it doesn't matter what if I paid $20,000 above the market, or if I paid $20,000 more for the land for something like that, I still want to make 15%, 15.65% development margin. If I want to do that, I will need to sell the property, or sell the product that I have developed, the townhouse or the apartment, at 524,000 instead of 500,000. That means every time I'm paying $10,000 more for land, and I still want to maintain the same amount of development margin, I will have to sell it for a lot more than what it is now. More often than not, this is not in your control, because this is the market price set by the market. So we have to be very, very careful, and remember this, that every time you are paying a little bit more for the land than what it's supposed to be, and this happens more when the market is growing, when the market is starting to take off, and a lot of buyers are actually competing for the same property, and some people think that they can pay a little bit more. Some people think that the market would have recovered, or market would have moved up by then, by the time it's time for them to actually do the construction or do the development, and hence they're willing to pay more. But what they don't remember, or what they forget, or what they don't pay attention to, is the fact that every time you are paying more for the land, every increment is going to put pressure on the end sale value, because everything else underneath is actually going to remain more or less constant. So this is one concept that any developer who's starting out, or especially people who are starting out, must know and must understand what it means, and how it can actually affect the value of the land and the value of the end product that you are actually going to sell in the market.